Hey guys, it's Ken Maxfield, aka the Hide Guy. I am the owner and managing editor of the Maxfield Report, and here is our the global market recap for the week ending May the 1st. The big Packer market in the States started out last week with a bit of mixed signals from the Packers as it pertained to offer list. Some lists were unchanged with the week prior, while other Packers, as suspected, had added a few items to their list. As far as asking prices, as expected, Packers were reluctant to lower their price ideas to start the week. However, once the week got going and the bids started coming in, and the majority of the bids were coming in $2, $3, $4 under ask, buyers are sensing the underlying pressure in the marketplace. Packers started to be a little bit more approachable on their prices, countering it at levels a dollar under asking prices. And by the end of the week, there were several of the Packers, as well as traders, willing to trade $2 to $3 under their asking prices. As far as the number of hides sold last week, the foregone conclusion is when you do take down money, you're not only going to do it for a couple, 3 loads, you're going to try to put some volume to it. So I honestly wouldn't be that surprised if we didn't, wouldn't be hard to do a number on the export report bigger than last week, but certainly we will see a larger number than we did last week on wet salted sales. But that said, I'm not ready to say that they sold a week's worth of production, which would have been basically 650,000 hides last week. So as far as on the cow side, they came in with offer lists more populated. Last week saw a couple of the producers tried to get out ahead of it, started taking lower money. That set the table for lower prices this past week. As mentioned, offer lists were a bit more populated. The number of cows in the harvest right now are running at unseasonably higher than usual levels. Sales have not been that great, and that's why you started seeing some of the producers willing to negotiate their prices and lower ask. Kind of like the big Packer market, bids started out $2, $3, $4 down. Counters out at $1 down. They settled at a couple dollars off of ask. So again, I don't know if they sold an entire week's worth of production, but they did sell more than they had, certainly more than the week prior. As far as our knock last week, I alluded to that. That was 649,000 head. That compares to 665 last week, 439 the same week last year. We are now well ahead of the knock for last year. I was letting you all know that this was going to happen. And matter of fact, we entered the month of April trailing last year by about 300,000 head. We're leaving the month up 371,000 head. That number is only going to continue to widen over the month of May. I had been indicating I could see a number somewhere in the 7 to 750,000 more by the second week of June. However, that number might even be higher, and that is due to the fact that Packers are making an incredible amount of money. Some people who like to count their money claim they're making anywhere from $600 to $700 a head. That is only going to set the table for Packers to try to push as many animals through their facility without totally exhausting their workforce right now. According to some people who track it, Packer utilization last week was about 92.5%. So there is still more room to kill more cattle, but you have to have the people to do it. So the other news last week, the export report was a bit of a mixed bag. The wet salted sales came in, let me get this up right so I don't want to mislead anybody, one of the lowest, if not lowest, of the year at 257,000 hides. Wet blue sales, though, were fantastic, 324,000. That was a marketing year high. That is a bit encrypted, though. If you take the 324 sold last week, add in the 3 weeks prior, which were marketing year lows, you do not get to 550,000. You divide that number by 4. Usually the rule of thumb is we're producing about 150 to 160,000 a week. So they dog paddled. Not trying to take anything away from them, but I know some of the producers were pounding on their chest trying to say, see, told you we sold a bunch. Well, they had to sell a bunch. Let's take a minute to go around the world. Our friends from Europe are starting to encounter some of the resistance that we'd been seeing here 2-3 weeks ago in the big packer market. They are able to get a few sales off. Of course, they want everybody and their brother to know the levels they got. Refuse to take any less. It's widely agreed that market usually trails us by anywhere from 3-4 weeks at a time. So I look for the people in Europe to start encountering some of the difficulties that some of the guys in the States are encountering. Might not be this week, but certainly by next week. We go down to Brazil. Things have started to cool off there. Fresh-eyed prices have more than doubled since the end of the year. That's because the NOK is off by about 30-35% due to COVID problems and tight supplies of live cattle. That rapid rise in prices seems to have peaked. Prices of wet blue appear as if they're faltering a little bit. That's due to some of the problems in China and the Hebei area. There's not as much demand for this lower grade material. That's why you're seeing prices of cows under pressure in the States, wet blue down in Brazil, and we'll touch upon Australia here in a second. So overall, it doesn't seem as rosy in Brazil with popular opinion of most people that things have maybe peaked. And then in Australia, harvest levels remain muted. That's due to the fact that there's more than ample grass, more than ample rain. The herd's being rebuilt. Live cattle prices at all-time record levels. We're in the States. Packers are making incredible amounts of money. Packers in Australia are losing incredible amounts of money because of that. So even though harvest levels remain muted, efforts to get more money seem to be meeting a considerable amount of resistance right now in Australia. I'm not here to say prices are softer yet, but with the underlying pressure facing the rest of the world, it would be understandable if Australian hides didn't have to follow suit. As far as what we think for next week, that, my friends, I encourage you to check out my website. If you're not a member, go to the website, www.themaxfieldreport.com. Click on Request Sample. Happy to send you copies of my weekly World Hide Report, my U.S. Daily Hide Report. I put in there my outlook for what I think is going to happen. Of course, it's not 100% guaranteed, but I'm usually pretty doggone close to the truth. So that's it for now. Ken Maxfield, the Hide Guy. Until next week, thanks.